The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
For your
Hi, folks. I'm MJ. I host the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, where we take old belief patterns and we flip them into the most conscious, positive ways that we can go to have balance, peace, and harmony in our life. So what are you doing with those old belief patterns and the old belief systems that you really don't believe in anymore, but you're told to do it? Well, we're going to flip them right here on the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, right here on our beautiful mbradio.us. Good morning. A little change up today. Good morning to everybody on this 16th day of June. We're flying by. It's the middle of June. Half our year is over. Where the heck is it going? Right out the door, man. Open up the window. It's flying by. It's flying by. So between the mood, the celebration of our Army's 250th, Flag Day. Wow, what a compact. And NBR was on location doing a motorcycle giveaway to a veteran. It has just been a very packed weekend. And then you have those people who want to put the spikes in there. And then you want to put the jabs in there. Who are those people? Well, we're going to get to those people. But for us, today, it's going to be more of a very relaxed setting. Things that I have been watching, things that have just really, I can't even wrap my head around it. So I've invited my good buddy, Joel, because he's going to help me put these things. You all know him as H-Train or HR Nightmare. He is the one, the only. So I'm going to be inviting him onto the show too, just to get some of his takes. Because sometimes I have been told that if you rain so hard on a vibration, you can't really see the common. And when you can't see the common, that's no good. So I want to make sure that what I see and what I hear, and if anybody knows me, you know me, that I really prefer to only watch one show. And I watch it at night, and I watch it and I will watch the whole series. I will binge watch it every single night. It's called The Big Bang Show. It makes me laugh. It has nothing political bearing in it. But it's so funny that when you watch that show, if you have never, watch it, because it truly is connecting science to the spirituality side.
Now, are you talking about The Big Bang Theory?
I am.
Oh, I love that show.
I love that show.
Yeah,
and
that's a good show.
Yeah, and it shows how we all can unify and unite with no matter what handicap hiccups, no matter nerdy or popular. It is like an amazing tool to use if you don't really know how to feel about what's going on. Shut it down. Sometimes you have to shut it down, and I get it. I woke up this morning, and the minute I put my phone on, I was just bombarded with stuff. Now, if anybody knows me as well, 2 days prior to my show, I'm in a show called Beyond the Headlines. I'm with Joel and Terry tonight at 7 o'clock. And even for that, for 2 days straight, I have to turn on my TVs and I have to search the newses. I have to search Congress libraries. I have to search the White House. I need to make sure whatever the news is projecting, right, that I can actually find some type of what's the real truth of the interpretation, because we all live in interpretations. I mean, that is just a part of who we are. We live by our own mind's interpretation. We could read a sentence and it doesn't mean that I've interpreted the same way have you did. Hence, how many times have you been texting and somebody goes, "Well, I didn't mean to make you mad." And you're like, "I'm not mad. Did that make it sound like it was mad? Did your interpretation make that sound like that? It wasn't my interpretation. So why did you flip that on me? And so as easy as a friend or family member texting back and forth can have a misleading interpretation, because our English language is so diverse that one word can mean up to 5 different meanings. It's ridiculous. And not being able to see body language, tone of voice, or correct grammar or punctuations, well, guess what happens? It turns and it leads into an interpretational mishap. And those interpretational mishaps then snowball into confusion or an event that is not so rendering us happy or swabby or in a place of happiness within. So that's what this is today. And when I saw in the last 2 days to do this show tonight, I was back to being filled with why are people can only see it one way? Why are they still stuck, even though there is ample amounts of evidence, ample amounts of conjecture, there's just a proliferate amount, and they still don't believe in it? Then it makes me question the jurors. So people who sit in the juries, if they are that one-way minded, do you get a fair trial? Oof, I don't know. Joel, do you think that's where it's leading into today?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I have to understand is that today into society, and it's going to be a while before that changes, we don't really have a justice system. What we have is a legal system. And when you think about that, just know that, look, just because you think that they need justice, I mean, there's so many loopholes. Like I said, it's more of a legal system than a justice system.
Yeah. And I don't even know if that's the case, because I happen to, one of my people I like to watch is Levine, and Truth, Liberty, and Living. And that's the show, because somehow, some way, he always tends to get on the perceptions of how they quote the Constitution and what is right in the law, and how they flip that. And it says that's not how that's read. And then he'll read verbatim exactly how the law reads. He is a Republican, but I like that he doesn't always take that strong stance. He takes the Constitution and states within the Constitution how this could be. Now, I'm a firm believer that our Constitution was written in 1776. And I'm a firm believer that as people evolve, technology evolves, we evolve, that things have to evolve.
Right. Rules evolve.
Exactly. And that's why we have what we call the bills, right? And so when we have our bills in office, these were supposed to balance that old thought theory. It's kind of like, everybody wants to hammer the Constitution about the guns. So the gun law was made because people did have to protect their property before there was a true law enforcement in there. However, guns were also used for providing meal,
Right. And back then, there was no such thing as laser guns or machine guns or grenades. So, stuff definitely changes, I mean,
yeah, it does. It has to change, and it has to go, all the way through. There isn't just one. I get like this show. I'm not going to be able to pick one. That's why I asked Joel to come in, because there are so many different areas where we could actually go with this. There are a plethora of ideologies that we could break down, but here's the other philosophy is, okay, folks, pick one. You can't pick them all, right? And they always tell you, pick your battles. You can't you can't hit every single battle because life has to be learned. Life somehow, some way has to be learned for all of us. And those lessons have to be learned. It's when those lessons become those, and like I find things a little bit humorous today. Why? Because I've healed it. Where people are like, MJ, that's not funny. I'm like, okay, well, you would think it's funny, if you're already healed from it. If you're not healed from it, then that's when it goes off to the other person. But that's not even these people aren't even willing to change. They're not even willing to look. They are so blocked. I have a couple of acquaintances. Every word out of his mouth is, I effing hate that man. I effing hate the green Cheeto. I effing, like, every freaking thing out of his mouth. I go, what in the world has he done to you?
It has something to do with the way people are brought up. Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Trump, even though he's president, like, Trump has always been in the news. He's always been in the news. And, and before the whole presidency, let's just be honest, with the movies that he's been in, WWE wrestling, Trump has always been kind of considered a joke. And now you put him in like the top seat of the whole United States, and now it goes from him being a joke to, oh, the guy's racist, the guy's a narcissist, all these different things. But it's because of where people put him in the category all through the years. I mean, you've seen that clip constantly that he was like either on Oprah or he was on some kind of talk show that said, well, if I did run for a president, I'd probably run for the Republican Party because, they're stupid, Like I said.
So do you think that was a fashion statement? Because the Democrat Party has always been for the working class people. And I proclaim it in my view that it was the Clinton administration where that upheaval twisted. That I want to say it was in that bracket, just because for whatever reason, life became in that era, that bracket, it became very distinguished pattern that nobody quite was working for the middleman. They were being left out. And right. I believe that as Republican decided, well, if you're no longer going to be the unions and you're no longer going to be for the working class, I'm going to take it. And I think at some point the Republicans started pulling the people, the middle class people away and honoring. I mean, let's just face it. You can't be poor to pay somebody a salary. So if you're looking for economy to run, somebody has to have money to pay your workers. Somebody has to bring in the money. Somebody has to have a business for you to have a job. Yes, right. Today's is totally different. Today, you can be your own boss and you can do everything on social media that you want until the government start playing with your social media. Now, what are you going to do? You can't say this. You can't do this. You can't have this, right? That was what happened with TikTok. TikTok went down for, the fear that the Chinese who held TikTok and they're selling all these products on TikTok, that was no longer going to be their life worth living. But for these millennials and these new babies, that's the only thing they know.
Right.
They refuse to go to school. So schools are down. And I don't know if you've noticed that, but the colleges, so your educational level from high school to college is now being dwindled.
Right. No, I get that, but like I said, I think what is it? What is his real name? So there's a guy in politics that whenever he speaks, no matter what he says, like, I cannot take him seriously because I remember the Saturday Night Lives and I remember the different things they did. Stuart Little. I'm incredible. I'm a good person, and gosh darn, people like me. And you know who I'm talking about.
Smiley.
And I can't take him serious. And here Here now, how many times has Trump been on Saturday Night Live? A lot of times. Okay, so we have taken somebody that we thought was a joke, and when he ran for office, we're like, okay, seriously, well, the real Slim Shady stuff, please stand up, because we're thinking to ourselves, this
Right.
guy's a joke. That's the reason why people don't like him. That is the reason why.
And you have major influences, though. You have
just like if a kid has parents, okay,
right.
and it reminds me of that episode with Full House, when everybody was gone and Joey Gladstone was the babysitter.
Joey.
And everybody's like, oh, this guy's funny, and then DJ pushes that boundary, and then Joey acts as like a father. Oh, she don't like that. That's where we are with Trump. We felt that this guy was a big joke all these years. Then he became president. Everybody's like, really? I mean, kind of like Schwarzenegger being, in charge of California.
Well, they said the same thing about Reagan.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is the difference between Reagan and the difference between Trump is Trump always did those like funny scenes. He never did cowboys, like John Wayne or anything. That's what Ronald Reagan did. So people had a little bit more respect for him just because of the movie gender he used. Okay.
I think his business guy. I think Trump, though, some of his business dwellings that failed, I don't think the common person can understand in business, because that was like the big thing that, he filed bankruptcy and nobody got their money. They worked and he used the money. But that's law. The law states bankruptcy. I've ran into so many people, at least 10, who had said to me that, at the casinos, his casino didn't make it in Atlantic City. And a lot of these people in the North went and worked for him. They never got paid because it went bankrupt. They're like, he has the money. And I was like, it's not about having the money. As a business person, as a business developer, it's not that. You try to do the right thing for everybody. But if a business is failing, it's failing. And if there's no more money in the kitty for the business, you're not going to borrow from Paul to save Peter, especially if it continues to fail. You're going to do the best that you can, which is why some people, when they close up their shops and they don't file, for bankruptcy, they're out there trying to do what's right for the people. I'm not so sure Trump did the rights for these people and how the stories are being told. Of course, it's their stories against his story.
Right.
And it's also, there's that third story, which is always the true story, which is what it was law, what is by law. And here's that law again. These laws that encompass. So are the laws excruciating for when it happens to the people who made the law? That's how I think about it. These people are now and they're running scared. It's the same way I look at all these actors and actresses and singers who say, oh, Trump's president, I'm leaving the country. I'm like, dude, we didn't have anybody running the country besides a crack-addicted son of a president. I seriously, this is what's going to happen? We all know this. We all know now with the auto pen, now with all these other things. So as me speaking, going, look at, people really need to see the military side of that, and they also need to see the civilian side of that. The military side is actually commander-in-chief. You don't like it, you get out. You're going to honor your commander-in-chief no matter what. So it really upsets me to watch ignorant freaking people yesterday was it yesterday in the parade? When was the parade? Saturday.
The parade was Saturday.
Today's Monday. Catch up, MJ. So on Saturday, when I was watching some of these things that were coming out, it was horrific. It was, I've never seen so many ugly, hateful, dirty, vile people in my entire life. And then when they tried to say, The Marines are pissed off. Like, they would use their voice. These Marines are pissed off. They didn't come here, to kill civilians in the United States. That's not what they were made for. And I'm thinking to myself, are you a Marine? Are you really? Ours is protecting terrorism, whether it's domestic or foreign or international.
Right.
It is to protect mankind. And if mankind is being threatened, of course they're going to step in. That is only makes sense. And
Right.
then it's so funny. The only thing the Democrats have is no January 6th. Well, I love that Kash Patel, and I love that.
Well, let's MJ before we go to the next segment part, let's take a break. And since I know that you're having a challenging day because you got a procedure coming up here soon, I've got your favorite song. So whatever you do, stay with us. Don't go away. You're listening to the World of Conscious Positive Thinking right here on the station, letting our veterans' voices be heard. You're listening to MBR.
Here we are. I love that man, Crow. I cannot wait for the day I see you on my freaking set. I love that song. Love it, love it, love it. In fact, my sister loves it so much, she tried to clip it out of my thing because we can't find the LP, Crow.
I talked to Crow. Crow's actually a pretty good friend of mine.
I know that.
Believe it or not, that song that they did, they kind of broke up after that song just because of like different things and stuff. And from what I've been told, he might try to get the band back together. I don't know, but we are working on collaborative efforts with him and Lauren Rose Thay on trying to do maybe a duo or something. Where it's still in the works. We're still trying to get that going, but yeah, he knows. I'll get him on here soon so that you can interview him. He's a tough cookie to get. He's extremely busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just relish him. I relish those words, those lyrics. It is the existence of healing oneself, and he got it. When you
Right.
can actually flip those patterns and flip those egos, that is exactly what he's talking about. I've healed it. And that's what we need to do in this world, honestly. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Tony. I'm just gonna all these beautiful people. Zai, Tracer. Good morning. Says some of these people have got to listen to their broadcast. They are on MBR. They are some of our DJs. Janet, she's up there in Broad Auburn, New York. Good morning to you. You agree with me. Thank you.
This is, that's what I have several people that have came to me throughout this year, and they want to do something on MBR, but they look at MBR as a destination, and I'm like, no, MBR is not a destination. We literally we're a family. We're a family that comes together to help other veterans. We're not a destination. So there's been a lot of people that they want to do a show on here, but I'm like, that's not what we're built for. So
it's a healing center. It's
it is.
It
really is.
And I know that I made the choice because I'm a service to others, and your service to others. It's funny. I had somebody just the other day. I think it was probably was it Friday? I think it was Friday. I walked over to I found some stuff that I was never going to use again out of my retail store in Miami. So I walked over just to ask them, and she couldn't even get past that I was giving it to her. All she kept saying is, "I don't have money. I don't have any money. I'm not buying anything. I don't have." I go, I'm not asking you to buy anything. I said,
Right.
I'm aware what you have in your shop. I was a retail store person myself, and I thought I was going to open up a retail shop on the center, but I'm not. I don't want to open up this retail center. And I go, I want it just to be a healing center or for PTSD vets to be able to either go hunting or to do their photography or just to sit in the woods of peacefulness and know that they are safe. And to be able to get back into a woods scenario where they had that PTSD. The only way to heal PTSD, if it's in the woods, is to go back into the woods and allow Mother Nature to heal yourself. And so that's my goal. Our goal up here is to strive to that people can come up and people can just relax in that center and know that if they have anxieties or stress, that there are people inside of here that's going to be able to help. And so I figured with military broadcast radio, I was going to be able to do the same, and I was going to be able to help by giving my brothers and sisters of arms just that voice, or whoever listens outside of the military. I do have other channels that I know you all go to, and you're following me here as well. So I do that, and I am so thankful for this. But we are a close-knit family, and we each have our own quirks and our own journeys that we take. And that's what makes us unique. That's what makes us a family, right? They always say there's always one nut in every fudge.
and it's funny because, I'm not going to mention shows, but there's one team, there's one show that has been on NBR for a while, and they kept coming to me a lot of times, and they're like, "Hey, can we put our show on this network? Can we put our show on this network?" And I'm like, yeah, but just remember, and it's no secret, there are tons of internet radio stations out there. But the reason why one person is on one station and might not be on the other is because you typically it's almost like high school. It's typically like a clique,
I was just gonna say, follow in the clique.
Yeah, you either
Follow
fit
the
in the
fashion.
clique. Yeah, you either fit in the clique or you don't, and I've tried to make MBR be almost like not a click station, because I want everybody to feel comfortable. I want everybody to, be able to be themselves on the station, And I tell you, I'll just say it now, because it's happened in the past when other people throw other people under the bus, like Elon did this past month.
Did you see how they hugged each other on the SpaceX? They reunited. I go, oh, it was a bromance. It was just a lover's quarrel. Come on, man. Listen, and again, we have to understand Elon Musk is extremely intelligent. We talked about this before, but he is also on the spectrum. And so,
and he has a handicap,
yes,
he has autism.
Asperger's, yes.
Or Asperger, or whatever it's called.
Right. And that's why I said he's on the spectrum. So a lot of times with genius gifted brains, there's no room for social emotions, that there's no room for it. Like, they're very awkward. Sheldon Cooper. He's a Sheldon Cooper. There it is. Yes. Big Bang Theory. Elon Musk is typically a Sheldon Cooper. He has the genius within, but he doesn't have the social morals or conduct. There's no room for those types of emotional empathies within. And if they have it, it's on the epitome of either extremely hostile or extremely loving. There is no in between for him. And so to understand him and what he does, then it's an honor. You must honor that. If you don't like watching show, like my mother, I love my mother. She goes, they're just full of nerds. She goes, they're stupid. I go,
yeah, Mom, that's why they're funny.
Go, Mom, they're actually not stupid. That's a Freudian term, stupid, like moron or idiot. I go, they are extremely, even the girl who plays Sheldon's Amy Farrah Fowler, who plays Sheldon's girlfriend on the show, she truly went to school for microbiology.
Yeah, she's a scientist.
She got herself, because of her voice here, in a little bit of trouble lately.
And behind the scenes, I've been told that she's more pleasant on the show than she is in real life, if that tells you anything.
Again, she doesn't have the brain capacity for social priority. She doesn't have it. And so when I see signs when people have autism kids and they're like, be kind, be kind, be kind. Yeah, be kind, because it is, it's quite hurtful. And to these kids, because they don't understand why you're so angry. What did they say that upset you? They can't connect it. But that's another part of life. There seems to be a lot of that type of people in our world today. Where did that come from? Well, RFK believes it is with the inoculations, or believes it to be red dye, or believes it to be all these other things. And, here we are again. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, whatever, right? Where's the dominant force? I really believe it's back to enforcing of ideologies on people, enforcing that will that gets disrupted. When you disrupt will, you disrupt your root chakra. And now you are just an angry person, unless you can heal it, unless you can align it. Now, I'm not saying that every single person is angry and disaligned, but again, Jewel will tell you, I woke up today. I didn't come on singing good morning, good morning. I came on very quiet. Why? Because I just have this undergoing of the last 2 days, not even being able to find a breath of a smile, going through the news and going through social medias and going through.
It's because of the noise. It's because of the noise. And it's funny because I have a friend on Facebook yesterday that posted, man, you know what? I just don't feel patriotic anymore. And then that's when I got on there and I'm like, hey, I tell you what, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're feeling, but you have to understand this. And I hope everybody understands this. There's a huge difference between being political and being patriotism.
Amen.
Okay. And when you're being patriotism, you know what being patriotism means? That means that you're not flying that flag because of the president. You're not flying that flag because of Congress. You're not flying that flag because of Senate. You're flying that flag because maybe your great great grandpa, he died in World War One, or he died in World War Two, or he fought in Vietnam. You know, all these different wars, they have one thing in common. You had a bunch of men raise their right hand, swallowed up their pride, and said, you know what? My country means more to me than my life. And when they became soldiers and when they became able to fight, the reason why they fought was so that, you know what? Hey, if I have a child, I've already served, they don't need to serve. Or if I have a nephew or a niece, I'm serving so that they don't have to, you know, stuff like that. But there's freedom has never been free. We are blessed to be Americans. Exactly. You know, like I say it all the time. You know, we're nice. We're nice and cozy here in the United States, and we forget that that comes with a price. That means, you know, people of our family or others, you know, they have to fight. And you know, it was funny when me and my wife was, you know, getting ready, hoping to have kids. We This is the one thing that we hit a wall. You know, she's like, well, my son or daughter is never gonna serve the country. They're never gonna go to war. I'm not gonna let that happen. And I'm like, what makes your kids any better than anybody else's? I'm like, guess what? Now we're in a society. Well, hey, look, it doesn't matter if you join the military or not because they're already here. They're already here. And because people just kind of just went with it, you know, oh, I'm not going to worry about it. Now they have to because, you know, it's just human nature. If it doesn't affect us, then we don't support it.
Mhm.
I don't watch midget wrestling because I don't have a you know, any family member that's midget. But you know, if I had a family member that was midget, I probably would like midget wrestling. I don't have anybody in my family that like NASCAR. I don't like NASCAR. I don't like, you know, racing. I'm not into that. You know, it's all what people support.
It's all in your likes and dislikes. It truly is. And it's truly everybody's own journey. Which again, with social media, I really have a distaste for social media. If I didn't have to use these platforms to get events through to people, I probably would never get on them because I'm finding more joy in walking through the forests or wading in the creeks right now or the streams than I find joy. I think I put up a meme saying, "Yeah, I'll call you back. I'm streaming at the moment. I'm watching the stream." And it's literally a person sitting watching a stream, and it's just a flip on words. It's the same flip. It's the same thing that is really distorting the truths. And I believe it. And I believe it is your upbringing. I believe it's conditioned mechanisms. And I believe that these are flip patterns. I also believe that there is so much despair in the world after the last 4 years, and there's still despair because things didn't automatically change. Everyone thought it was going to be a light switch. Every time they go, well, he's in office, nothing happened. I'm like, you think it's that easy? I go, what you see today is the results of what was happening in the last quarter of 2004.
Right.
I mean, you have to realize this. Things, yes, contracts were made and budgets were cut and things were, and I get it. I do
Right.
get it. But you have to have that frame of mind to understand it. But I'm
When people realize the Democrats and the Republicans, the only different they're the same. They're the only difference between a Republican and a Democrat is one's blue and one's red. Literally, that's the only difference. Because eventually, whatever this people does something that these people did, well, then they're going to question them, and then they throw mud at each other. So
what I find is really funny is they had talked about this Army 250th birthday the last quarter of 2024, about establishing this huge celebration for the 250th birthday, right? And next year is going to be another big celebration because it's going to be our Constitution. It's going to be the birth of America next year. So when would these all fall again? Well, you know, to be so subjugated, and I want to know why, and I'm hoping with Kash Patel, and I'm hoping with some of the players that we have right now, that they are patriots. Gabby Tulsi is a patriot. Greg Hedseth is a patriot. Naomi is a patriot. You know, Kash Patel is another patriot. You're getting more patriots now going, listen, but the liberal, like the Hollywood, and now and this is the thing, Joel, I don't care if nobody believes it. They're getting more and more FBI involved with the Diddy trial. They're getting more and more involved because they're seeing the links back to the administrations. All of them, not just one. I know everybody goes, oh yeah, the Obama with Diddy. No. Yeah, he put on the sex pill with Obama's face on it, but that's not even. That is just the monies that these high influential people, and they're influential, why? Because they have conned you into liking their music, liking their concerts, liking their football games, basketball games, baseball games. This is where the economy thrives. These people, these echelons of people, right? These are the ones who pay into the presidencies to get them voted. Now, if you see how this Diddy trial is being subjected, and now the FBI with coercion and trafficking is coming in, and you're going to have to take a step back, and you're going to go, wait the hell a minute. How many of these people were involved? Now you have in politics itself, now you have these people who are pushing their monies into foreign trades for their gain of return. It is really a sick cycle that is going on. And I really hope Mother Earth shakes so hard that they just either come to their senses or fall off the planet. And that's how I really see it. So I get it. But I feel that way. I feel that people are angry because their eyes are being open to an awareness that they have been wrong and strong about. And they don't even know how to backtrack of what they're saying because they believed in the truth that was being spewed to them, which was causing them their anger, it's causing them resentment. Because if I get somebody who is that anti-Trump or that anti-Biden, or like the what do you call those? The complete diverts on each side, and you sit with them in interpretational healing centers, they'll end up at the end going, wait a minute, that can't be true. And then you show them, this is true. This is documented truth. So they're conditioned because, and I truly believe in the baby, your dad, my mom. I mean, these baby boomers are convinced that they have to watch the news and listen to the news because that's where they get their information. And they have to do it on a daily basis. Why? Because World War I, World War II, Korean War, all these things before the actual TV was bigger and brighter from the 80s, all of these people, that's where they got their information. Right. That was what bonded everybody. The radios bonded everybody, and then the TVs bonded everybody. But now when you realize that they were coerced and paid off, everything, what can you believe anymore? It's like going down the rabbit hole with the Mad Hatter. What is true? What isn't true?
Right.
But on that, let's find truth in something else. We're going to go to break, and we're going to do the patriotic song.
Okay. All right. So whatever you guys do, stay with us. Don't go away. You don't want to miss what's coming next right here on the World of Conscious Positive Thinking on the station that's letting our veterans' voices be heard, MBR.
Signed up to fight for freedom. What a price you had to pay. Picture in her helmet, missing family every day. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane. Some scars we'll never see. She will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. On that old dusty base with the meadows that shine, she's been to hell and back for the stars and the stripes. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane, and some scars we'll never see, and she will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. Yeah, yes. For the ones that didn't make it, we will pause and then we cry. We can still see their smile in every sunrise. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.com.
There's that Quack. Welcome, Quack.
Welcome, Quack.
So, before we left, we were talking about how people's minds think. And this morning, right before I came on, I did make a post, and it says, it's okay for you to believe what you believe, but it is not okay, however, for you to insist that everybody else believes the same as you believe. This is where we need to put back into concept. This is where we need to put back into our matriarchs, and we need to put back our belief systems, and understand as our belief systems old patterns. Are they old belief systems? Are they not conforming to what is going on, not only with us but the rest of the world? And you have to remember, we can't shut off from the rest of the world. Yeah, right. I understand the philosophy that the Republicans had, that it's not fair that we're paying 50% and it's Americans' money that's paying 50% for the rest of the world, and everybody else is paying 5%, 10% in. I agree with that. And if you can't understand that, and a lot of the people who are bitching are the people in the last 20 to 40 years just got here into America. Wet foot, dry foot, however you freaking got here. But it's always funny because I saw in California, you're American citizens, so why are you flying the Mexican flag?
Right. Well, and they had an interview, and I'm just going to say what he said. I don't agree with it, but you know what? That's okay, because we fought and defended this country so that, you can talk shit to people. You're not free from consequences. And they went to the guy, and he was a Marine. He got out, but he said most of his family came over from Mexico, and he had them, and he helped his mother and father gain citizenship. But I don't think what they're doing is bothering them. It's how they're doing it that's bothering them. And I tell you, a lot of people criticize the way Biden evacuated Afghanistan. Well, a lot of people are criticizing about this. And keep it in mind that I believe this is around the same time frame as Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan. So, like I said, it's one party is doing the same thing that the other party's doing. It's just like they backpedal because they don't like each other. But honestly, MJ, that I see that's how a lot of Christians are today too. Because they like to.
There's a bigger subject, religions.
Yeah,
So,
like there's a lot of people that judge people. And yes, you're exactly right. In the Bible, it says that you need to preach, and you need to keep your blah blah blah. Well, there's a total difference in telling somebody that they're doing something wrong rather than just reflecting what they do. For example, for the longest time, I never tipped because I didn't have money to be able to tip, but my wife, she makes sure that we tip, because a tip isn't just on, okay, they're bringing us our food and they're super nice and stuff. That tip, that kind of evaluates how their job performance is. And if you don't leave them anything, then you're telling them that they're worthless compared to you. That's basically what you're saying. And you just have to reflect how you want to be treated to other people.
So if you comes out bad, but your service was excellent, do you not leave your server a tip?
I always leave a tip because I always know that somebody's.
Well, I'm asking because there's some people out there who were like, I asked for my steak rare, and I couldn't even get it rare, and then everybody else was done with their meal, and I finally get my steak, and it wasn't part of the meal, and blah blah, and then they'll just ruin the whole atmosphere of our evening, and then they're like, I can't believe you're going to tip. I go, the waitress's job was to bring you as quick as she could or he could the meal. Right. It was to make you comfortable. She doesn't cook it or he doesn't cook it. That's a different job.
Right.
So, yeah, tipping, wow, that's a whole, subject in itself, tipping. Because
you know what? I tell you what they need to do is, instead of tipping, they just put it automatically on the bill, because half of Americans, they don't read it. They don't realize that, oh, well, they just added it onto the fee, kind of like Southwest used to with the free baggage fees. Now you have to pay for them. Some people just, they assume.
So I have people who are in service industries that people provide tips, hairdressers. I'm sure hairdressers. Do you tip your hairdresser? Well, why would you tip a hairdresser if it's a solely owned hairdresser who's going to charge you what they charge everybody else? So you made your
I don't exactly have a hairdresser, MJ. we're kind of talking in unfamiliar territories right now. So your barber does your beard, and
it does your beard and your face, your barber, right? So those guys, I mean, they are service. So hairdressers, I have always tipped out my hairdressers. And somebody goes, that's all their money. They tell you how much it is to cut their hair. Why are you tipping on top of that when it goes all to them? I go, as a business person, it doesn't go all to them. As a hairdresser, they have to keep their scissors sharp. They have overhead bills. And it's just, I believe tipping is just what you said. It is making it so that you are aware of a thank you. It's more of a thank you, a gratitude than it is anything else. So, you know, and 2020 really made that ugly because you would go to pick up food because you couldn't sit at the restaurant and they demanded that you're going to put a 15% tip in there. Are they demanding that when they deliver the food, because you weren't allowed out of your house except for the food people, that they were also going to put 15% in there? Now, that demand was to keep them employed. And it started to get ugly in Miami because now the tipping in Miami, if you don't tip a minimum of 22%, and some of the places, 22%, they won't even service you in the restaurant, and they'll tag you, they'll flag you, they know. But if you're a good tipper, they will be all over your table. And this is where it's at. And so why? Because people are desperate for money. Look at the flip side. It is hard out there. Taxes are rising, inflation is rising, interests are rising. I mean, you can't even get into my daughter, 2023, she was trying just to get into a townhouse, a rental. They wanted 5 months rent. You have to have 5 months rent, plus you have to have your security deposit, plus you have to have your HOA deposits and your fees. My God, by the time you added it up for her to get into I think it was a 2.5 townhouse to rent it, she was already, I go, my God, you've already have the money to put down on a house and now it's yours. Now you can deduct all of these interests. I go, think about what you're doing. She goes, well, what if I don't want to stay here? And I go, then you sell it like I did. Then you sell.
Right.
But the theory that they're sticking in the heads is, okay, well, rent. That way you owe nothing. Well, the problems are that things got so expensive. It's just like they're trying to do an addition to my house. So is the expense actually weighing on the minds to create the downfall right now? And you know how, you ever see the game Kerplunk and you pull that little stick and the balls all come down? It's called Kerplunk. It was an old 70s game.
No, I'm tracking, but no, I don't.
Okay, it's marbles. We'll have to look it up. It's called Kerplunk, and it's about marbles and sticks. And all the games used to have marbles in them because, marbles, if you had the marbles, you could play Chinese checkers, you could play anything once you had the marbles. But this one was called Kerplunk. And it's like, it's a domino effect is what it is. You pull one and the balls go through all these sticks to see where it is. That's what's happening. So if one does it, they're all falling trail because this is where it's at. So inflation. I don't believe inflation today. The house, I just got a quote for $300,000 to put 900 square feet and ramps in my house. $300,000, sorry. $300,000. That costs more than half the price of 55 acres in my home. I live in a relatively moderate home. It is a 20-year-old home, and it's about 3,073 square feet. And 900 square feet addition so that I could have a boil in the bubble chamber from the VA so I don't get sick and come out of remissions. $300,000. That to me is insane. Insane. Where are these prices? And you wonder why people don't have, because inflation, they talk about inflation, but is that conjured here? Seriously? Where is it coming from? And we can't say it was tariffs because this pricing was already back with the Biden administration. It wasn't even with this administration.
Well, we had a news article that I don't know if it was Westward or what channel it was, but it said for a person to live comfortably here in Denver, Colorado, and comfortably, I can tell you. To me, comfortably would be literally a house with AC and then 2 beds and being able to eat. That to me would be comfortably. But he said for a family to live comfortably in Colorado right now, you have to make at least 106, very, very point on, $106,000 a year to be able to live comfortably here in Colorado.
It's funny you said that. That's just to live comfortably. In the state of Pennsylvania, if you are a 100% disabled veteran, you don't pay real estate tax unless you make more than $108,000. If $108,000 is what you make, then you will. If you make $108,001, they're slapping you with real estate tax. Now, it's funny that you said that. And it's funny how their logic in Pennsylvania, but their logic hasn't grown with what's happening to the outside world. $108,000 today would have been like somebody making $300,000, 40 years ago. But $108,000 right now, some people, I mean, think about it. Just do the math. It is mandated that the whole United States will be going to $15 as minimum rate. Minimum wage. Miami is already up there, and it was another reason. So I'm paying that. So your employer is not even paying $15. Your employer is going to end up paying $21 an hour for that employee, because you have to have workman's comp. You have to pay the tax that they're paying. So people who want to bitch about business people, no, the problem right now is this last 4 years, people are learning how to make money on their own. Pennsylvania, I've never even heard of even checks in Miami anymore, but nope, in here, it is checks or cash only. Now, why do you think it's either check or cash only?
Check or cash only because it takes it longer for it to clear when it's like a credit card or something, compared to they have electronic checks that they can send in now.
God forbid you use your card or your ATM, they will tag 3% onto your bill in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm just letting you know, folks. I've never seen somewhere, I call it Pennsylvania, and I'm from here. I was born and raised here. Pennsylvania. I remember being in the fishing industry. If I so much as told one person of those high echelons, you're using your card and you're not paying a wire or cash, know that you're getting added. Do you know it was against the law for us to say that in 1998, in 1999, and 2000? It was against the law it was called biased rights of come on, MJ. But it was against the law. It was a merchant thing. I can't remember the name. I'll think of it. But you were not allowed to give them that 3%. You had to make it within in today's world, everybody tells you, if you use a credit card, I'm tagging 3%. Now I gotta go to commercial. I'm going.
I was turning it down so that you could finish your statement.
Oh, we're gonna go. Those birds, they don't want me to finish. They want me to go. So I'm gonna fly with them. Where are we flying?
I was thinking this one that I need to get on my account, because I heard it the other day and I'm like, oh man, I really I didn't like the song until this video. So we're gonna play some Jess Muse, Because You Love Me.
I wouldn't be here if not for your faith, if not for your love, if not for your saving grace. I'd be alone and forgotten and small, climbing a mountain that's too big and too tall. But because you love me, because you care, I can do anything, anytime, anyhow, anywhere. stand here if not for your strength, if not for your hope. I may have lost my way, and I would just wander in search of my place, caught up in the race. I'd be lost in time and space, but because you love me, because you care, I can do anything, anytime, anyhow, anywhere. Because you love me, because you're there. I am unstoppable, undeterred. I have heard an answered prayer. Because you love because you love me, because you care, I can do anything, anytime, anyhow, anywhere. Because you love me, because you're there. I am unstoppable, undeterred. I have heard an answered prayer. Because you love because you love me. Because you love me.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.net.
I love her. Love her, love her, love her. And she is an active duty soldier. She is in the Coast Guard, and I love, love, love her. Guys, go to Spotify, go to Apple, go anywhere that you can and join Jess Muse. I put her information up there for everybody. She is it's just a beautiful song. So, Joel, in the first half here of this show, we were talking about the calamities that are happening. We were talking about just the people being over it, and it's redundant and it's
Noise.
repetitive. Right. It's patterning. So how do they, and I get it. They're like, MJ, how do you get out of it? I go, sometimes you get out of it because you're already healed from it. Sometimes you get out of it because you will get healed from it. Sometimes in order to be healed, you've got to go through the dysfunction in that event in order to actually heal it. And then you can talk about it and laugh later. So how do you do that? So ask yourself, how important is the riots in California for me here in Pennsylvania? Why am I being involved in that? Or I have my own problems in my state of Pennsylvania.
You're being involved with that by playing on your empathy.
So empathy, I love that you said that. You just went right into me. So empathy is awesome. But when you reach a higher vibration and you start loving within yourself and paying no mind, that empathy turns into what we call clairsentient. Clairsentient comes without the hurt. It comes without the negative indications that somebody who is empathetic feels. Empathy rises with anxieties. Empathy rises with stressors. Empathy rises in the physical to health issues. So we have to come out of those. So if you have 5 things on your plate in the day, let's just say we're going to pick 5 things that they really have a discernment with. We're not going to say pissed off or angry or loathing. We're going to say I'm discerned. Why? Because this is going on. This is going, okay. If you have said, you know what, the wars across the pond. Father, Mother, God, I'm sorry for my part. Honestly, you have to know that we are all part of that disruption over there as well. And if you don't think that, then you're more egotistical than you ever thought you were, because that is all prop and product of us. In California, if I had any part of that, Father, Mother, God, I am sorry for that. This is how I speak to myself every time I see a disaster in the world. And I honor it, but I love it and I let it go because I'm not there. I have my own bull crap in Philadelphia.
Yeah, me and my dad was kind of talking about this the other day. You know, there's a lot of people that, trauma has happened to them. Okay.
Yes.
But there also is a lot of people like the trauma has happened to them and they haven't quit getting out of this victim mode. Like, they just stuff keeps on happening and then they're like, blame it. Okay. But sooner or later, you have to stop blaming something and just say, you know what? It wasn't a mistake. It was an experience. That's the way that you have to look at it. And, it doesn't, everybody's going to disagree, especially if, like the person behind bars or whatever, they just hate them forever. But sooner or later, no matter what charge it is, it's got to be considered experience rather than a mistake, because you have to go on with your life. Like I have a friend I just talked to recently, and she has felony, and I told her, I'm like, one of these days you're just gonna have to come clean. You're just gonna have to come clean and look at them in the eye and say, look,
Honor it.
I gotta live. What do you want me to do? Die because of this? I have to live. So leave me alone so that I can go on with my life.
Honor your mistakes.
Yeah.
Honor. And if somebody judges you, tell them there is no time in this lifetime for your judgment, because if I opened up your closet, the hell that I will find. So take your judgments and leave them for Archangel Gabriel, leave them for Father, Mother, God when I die. That's what you need to do. You need to stop allowing the guilts and stop allowing other people's ideologies and egotisms to penetrate the energies that surround you. Now, if you're a god-awful person, you want to go around shooting somebody, I get, someone's going to give me a rebuttal. And I get that. If you are just a dark, negative, lower vibration being, your purpose is as a catalyst in that phase to find that bridge. We all have them. They are here. It's your choice. Your choice of your words, your choice of your actions are going to play out for you, how you made those decisions. So when I get angry, I'm not necessarily, I try. And one of the biggest things is smiling, because when you smile, you're tricking the ego that it's going to be okay. And your ego wants you to suffer because you learned as a human, especially since the 1940s, that you need to suffer. That's an old belief pattern. These are the patterns that have conjured into the minds of people who are probably 30 years and older right now, because that has been the proverbial avalanche of conscious moral. And when we are of consciousness, is it always positive? Is it always a moral? Consciousness could go into a negative turn very quickly, especially for some of our patriots who are there to destroy, destruct, and kill. Not every patriot is destroy, destruct, and kill. That is not what this is. This is a balance. And the more that we can come to terms in balance and understanding I'm gonna have to give a little for this other one. It's very, even in relation, look at people's relationships, and look at your own marriages, look at your own friend relationships. You get to an apex where you totally disagree with one another. Totally. Well, yeah, because you are your own individual and so is the other person. And if they are believing in their soul that this is what they need to do, and you believe in your soul that this is what you need to do, and there's no budging, where do you think that's going to land?
Right.
With a freaking hand grenade right in between the two of you, because neither of you want to budge a little bit. The words are, I understand, and you better understand. You better understand when you say it, not just use the word. Understand how they could think this way, because they were conditioned to think this way. They were brought up to think this way. Now that the world is changing and we're all evolving, some people don't advance. So be kind, right? And there's other factors that go on, right? Mental acuities go on, TBIs go on, PTSD goes on, but there's other somethings that go on here. And people aren't realizing, they're not aware of it. Take a guess. Actually, where's the back computer, Joel?
I got it. Here we go.
Ask on the back computer, how many satellites orbit Earth?
How many satellites orbits
This is going to be a big number.
Earth? As of 2025, there are approximately 8,500 active satellites orbiting Earth, and a total, including defunct and inactive ones. There are over 25,000 tracked objects in Earth orbit, including active satellites, 8,500, inactive and rocket bodies, several thousand pieces of trackable space debris, about negative 25,000. Smaller debris, 1 millimeter to 10 centimeters, estimated in the hundreds of thousands to millions.
Hundreds of thousands to millions. And then we watch Starlink go up with trails of satellites, 10 at a time, 20 at a time, with all of these things. You don't think for 1 second the G pool on your brain and on your energetic flow, your electromagnetic flow, does not play precedence on your emotional decoding? Think about it. Just think about it. So understanding emotional decodings, understanding these energies, brings me to how much destruction and despair since the full moon. And remember, people feel the full moon a day before or 2 days before. So if you remember the show that I had when I said a true soldier, they come in with 3 frequencies: courage, pride, and anger. Well, guess what? Your courage, pride, and anger are the same lower vibrational frequencies that it takes for the moon's energy, the full moon's energy, and these satellites to disrupt in your G pattern forms, your G4s and your G5s. These influence how you think constantly on the mind's rhythm. That is quantum entanglement right there. That is physics. It is science. It is not malarkey, whatever they say. It's not. You can look it up on anything. It causes, in fact, they did this whole study about the full moon sickness. Well, there's no consensus. Now, why do you think they won't write there is? They'll put the consensus, right? I love that the full moon has recognized medical conditions as recognizing that some people report experience these symptoms through sleep. Your sleep patterns are affected in a full moon. People don't realize it, but they are. So this is another contributing factor when we go through these extremities of full moons and new moons. So these studies suggest a full moon can disrupt sleep patterns, difficulty in sleeping and staying asleep. This may relate to the impact of the light of the melatonin, of the melatonin production, of the hormone that regulates your sleep. Why? Because your hormone balance of your body regulates by the energetic pull of the earth, the moon, and our galaxy. Another one, mood. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder gets inflamed during these big full moons. People, if you are not aware, this moon was the closest it has ever been to Earth in years. It's going to be another 75 years until the moon orbits to get that close to Earth again. So its extremities are just pulling apart. So right now, we have these different associations, physical discomforts, right? So I go back to the bipolar settings. It's experience.
MJ, before we do that, can we go on break real quick, and then when we come back, you can close it out then.
Okay, we're going to talk about the moons. That way, if you're interested in the moons, when we come back, I'm going to tell you. There we go.
That was not supposed to happen like that.
Well, we're going to.
Sorry, go ahead, MJ.
We're going on break. We're going to go with Dallas Alexander to a hero. Here we go.
To a hero, I say, I hope to see you again on some sunny day. And to a hero, and the love you left behind, I'll try my best to pass it on till the end of my time. And to a hero, you're gone, but I have no doubt that you have made it home. And to a hero taken way too soon, over there in the dusty country, an Afghan afternoon. To a hero and the little one you left behind, I hope he grows up with your passion, I'm sure he will with time. And to a hero, a warrior through and through, you were taken way too early, what can we do? Well, we can try to keep your spirits alive, we can try to be nice, we can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. To all the heroes taken from our lives, at home or in those countries, fighting for what's right. Now we can do this for you and all your kin, and make this world a better place for your kids to grow up in. And we can try to be true, admit when we don't have a clue, and be there with the ones we love until our time is good and through. And we can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. Yeah, we can try to keep your spirits alive, and we can try to I hope to see you again on some sunny day. All right, to a hero.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.us.
.us. We're back. We're talking about the moons because remember I said we're going to hear the gripes and the complaints, and we're going to give some examples of the gripes and complaints, and then the flip patterns. And the flip patterns is pick and choose what you want to fight. You don't need to fight all. And if you are fighting all, then you really are unhealed. I'm going to tell you that. You cannot fight all of these battles. You cannot disagree with all of these things. It's impossible. It just makes you a very angry, upset, emotionally disturbed person. Please understand that sometimes just forgive my part and walk away is the only stance you can take, because there's other free will involved. But your free will, you have choices. You control your choices of your free will. We were talking about the moons before we left. You don't have a free choice with the moon's pull. You don't have a free choice of how electromagnetisms play within our body. No, right? I wish you did. Some ways people have shungite as a stone. Shungite. Shungite. If you start getting headaches in your life, what people describe as migraines, but they can't figure out why I have the migraine, right? But I get these headaches, these severe headaches. This is G3, G4, G5s. This is, look on your phone. You have 5Gs, 4Gs. They're going to go to 6Gs here real soon. These are mega waves, radio waves, that are not helping you with this thing here. They're actually, it's an overdose. It's an overdose of frequencies hitting within the body. And now you heard right before Jewel stepped out for a minute, but right before he stepped out, you also heard that he was talking how many satellites are up in the air working, how many aren't working, how much debris, how much things that are being reflected with this frequency levels. The moon plays a big part. The moon's as closest as it was, as we said. We already talked about our sleep patterns. We already talked about our mode, right? Our moods. And within our moods, we were talking about the bipolarness. Yes, these symptoms exacerbate. So if you have mental mood swings, those are run by frequency centers of the brain, your CBD receptors to be exact. And some of the CBD receptors are not in coercion with one another. They're not connecting, right? This is a simple explanation. I know there's probably a doctor out there going, oh, no, it is. Yeah, I'm just trying to give a simple, dumbing it down for me to be able to understand in order to give it to you. But how it works is if now you're on meds and the energies are contributing to the frequencies of those meds, how many people who go to psychologists and they don't work after years of trying to heal themselves with PTSD or anxiety, and they're changing your pills or upping your pills or lowering your pills, ADHD, bipolarism, Asperger's, autism, these medications, schizophrenia, these medications play a major part of the chemistry of our brain. That's why you're being given those medications so that you can have a normal reaction. But if those medicines are pushing one way and another energy is pushing another, can you see the conflict going on up here? Deadly. That's why people agree to things when they're like, are they mentally competent to make those decisions? So remember that. The other thing is physical discomforts. Some individuals report experiencing headaches, dizziness, right? Increased sensitivity to pain during the full moon. We just talked about that. Yes, because that gravity is pulling so hard on those frequencies of those G3s, G4s, G5s that you're like, your body in itself, the physical body, is now can come up with shaking, like you have shakes, right? So these people now have tremors. Why? Because their body is being split by that emotion. Women, menstrual cycles, they've already have explored that the possible link between full moons and the start of menstrual periods with mixed results. They always say the moons are by babies. Women birth by the moons. Women have their cycles by the moons, that they'll slowly fall in. Would it be something if every single woman menstruated on that full moon? These poor guys, it wouldn't be PMS. It would really be pack my suitcase because they wouldn't know how. So sooner or later, we have to understand that study and get to the bottom of that and figure out how to block it. Again, the only thing I can tell you if you want to block it, I do wear, if I find that the waves are hitting me too hard, I will put on a shungite necklace or a ring or a shungite patch. They're just small things. You can buy a list. You can go anywhere and buy them, crystal stores or maybe even Amazon, I think, would have them. But they're called shungite patches. I have them on the back of my phone. Here, I'll show you one. See this little thing right here? Right there. It's called it's a shungite. And what it does is it blocks EMFs and it blocks those high frequencies that are coming from phones and Wi-Fi's. They're on my Wi-Fi's in my home. So do that for yourself. And maybe that would calm down some of those things. They also have a study that mentions that they are actually finding that there are more stroke-like symptoms happens on a full moon. Stroke. Wow. Blood vessel bleeds of the brain. That is linked between the full moons and the occurrence of medically unexplained stroke-like symptoms. And the only thing that they have is it's on the full moon. Important considerations of the moon, more scientific evidence. While some studies suggest potential links between the lunar cycles and various health aspects, many are finding are inconclusive and they're contradictory. That's science versus science. There's one side of science is stating that this is happening. You're not looking at the quantum physics of it. You're looking at the microorganisms of, or the biology of, but you're not taking that science and you're not merging it with the other science. So can you see how these two science departments are butting heads? This one's saying, yes, it's very plausible. This one's saying, no, it's not. If it's not plausible, then why do we go to the highest extent possible for astronauts for that type of energetic waves? It's truth. When you see these beautiful aurora borealis, know that there is a G-force wave hitting you so strong that it is causing disturbances and lower vibrations in your body. It is causing that. So as you look at those beautiful lights in the sky, understand that that energetic nuke wave from the sun is hitting you as well. So how do you protect yourself? The only thing I know is shungite. That's the only thing I know. And if somebody else teaches me differently, then I'll pass it on. All individuals have a variation. This is why we do up here, and I did them in Miami, we do what we call moon circles. Why? It's not to have a placebo effect. And I know a lot of people will say, no, the moon and people talking about it, it's a placebo effect. But it's really not, because if you listen to Aristotle and you listen to all these great astrologers from the get-go, even the Egyptians, right? They could pinpoint moods that are happening. They could pinpoint things. Do you think it's coincidence that they decided to riot and they decided to do this no king demonstration on this full moon? No, because whoever's behind it knew damn well that that energy was going to help pull their narrative along. Think about it. Science is based on a whole bunch of things. And if you ever play, here you go, Strategio again, you'll understand that. You understand the pressures and how they alienate, or how they coerce you into doing things. Multitudes, just multitudes. There's a lot of further research that has to be studied, but I'm telling you, you have your physics, right? Your quantum physics department arguing one thing, you have your astrology science department arguing another, and then you have your science biology trying to solve another. And a lot of people in science biologies, especially in the medical field, are turning against them. They're realizing a lot of things of their body is problematic. I just came back. My annuals are all right here. So why? I have no idea. They're in June, but they're all here. So I have all my blood work. Like everybody, you get all your annuals done. And it's funny that you can go to different departments, and every different department has a different way of thinking. Every department I have gone into, I had told somebody, they had asked me about my medications. I said nothing. They said, I have a list. I go, I am not on anything. I removed 24 big pharma from my heart, my livers, my kidneys, because I'm autoneuroimmune. How did that play into factor? How do all those drugs? Well, I removed myself from all those drugs. I did it throughout a 3-year span, and I had to take it that slow, or my body would have rejected it. It's a process, but if you really want that process and you really want to be you, who you are, and not medically induced who you are, or not being induced by everything else that succumbs us, you will do the same. Because sometimes, as the one lady I loved, she was looking for the macula degenerate, something in the retinas, I don't know. She was like, all those pills just screw people up. I said, and she's in the medical field. So you can see different departments of the medical field are already feeling the pressures of these prescriptions that we're writing, right? These addictions to drugs that people are now addicted to because everybody had a headache that they couldn't stand anymore. So, and Tylenol wasn't taking it, and nor was Advils or Motrins, and then nor was whatever. Now we're on morphines, and now we're on opioids, and now we're on all these drugs that are conditioned to what? Make us not feel the addiction side of the brain, not allowing us to feel the discomfort. So that discomfort needs to be healed. And then you can laugh at it. I have a friend who's going through marital problems, just like a lot of us go through. And I had to relate a story of my own. I mean, when you're on this earth more than 50 years, you start to have experiences that you can help others. And when you actually talk about it now, it's no longer depressing, elevating, anger, resentment. It's kind of like, yeah. And it's not a sarcastic laugh. It's an honor of like, it is what it is. You have a choice. You can either sit here, be angry and sad and stomp your feet in tantrums because your partner's not listening to you, or you can change the subject until a better moment, or 3, you can actually say, I'm just tired and I give up. Your choice. But I'm going to tell you, if you choose that last one, I'm just tired and I give up, unless obviously it's something that's really detrimental to your health or detrimental to what you're doing. Exactly, Janet. Yep, 7 years. You just kind of learn things that you just shut your mouth about. You just do. Or you smile and you go, it was hard. These lessons, some of these lessons of life are excruciating, but I can tell you something. You're always going to come back to that same thing. You're going to come back to it again and again and again until you learn to balance it, heal it, love it, and let it go. That's the moral of the story. If you are looking at something angry, I tell you, it disgusts me to look. And if I'm that disgusted, then I have to ask myself, but that's not me. Why am I disgusted? Am I disgusted because I thought people who were within my realm, my acquaintances, or my friends, or them who are completely on the other side of the track as me? Where do you think my energy goes? Where do you think your energy goes when that happens? When people say, oh, I want to come up, but you already know they are so far away from balance, that's my energy being deployed. Do I really want that? Do you really want your energy? You know those people. You know that even if they're family members, right? Family reunions. It's time for family reunions. There's a lot of families that are not healed. And if they don't go to these family reunions, they're not to be mocked or judged. They can't do it. They're just haven't healed enough to not cause a commotion. I believe that to be the truth. I stay away. Why? I'm not going to get into a circle of people who I can't see and they're completely unhealed. Sometimes you have people in your life who have absolutely no education, and all of a sudden they're the best political science majors there are and want to tell you the sins of the world. Okay. And then you have those who are so educated, they can't even see the sibilance of the world. Why? That's sick. Or is it just unbalanced? There's a need for all kinds in this lifetime because we're all callous of one another. It's how you hold your composure, and it's how you heal. Remember, every time you get angry and every time you lose your composure, every time you have anxiety or stress and you have one of these factors that are lower vibration, your health goes to shit. Your physical health will go down. And I can almost guarantee, when you tell me, I can almost guarantee to spot it in your chakra alignments or your patterns. I can almost guarantee what mind power centers are not working. I can almost guarantee what is not healed. Like people go, but how come you can't tell me? Well, I can. If you put something up on it, I have somebody goes, yeah, but how do we do that, MJ? So the problem is that I can't. Everybody is different. You are your own identity. It is incredibly difficult for me to sit here. There's some, you know what? There are some channels who they're going to tell you how to do something as if everybody is the same. The only thing that we are the same as is the I am presence inside of us. That is our soul. Our I am presence is there, the Christ-like. Whether you're atheist or not, it's still there. It's just dimming a little bit lower because of your belief, right? Not that one belief is stronger than the other. And you'll just have to go through your own journey and you'll have to find yourself again. So, but these patterns that are within all of us, we have to have this diversity. Why? Because then we can understand what lessons that we have to go through where we're healing. So when I look at things, like I was saying in the beginning, it just makes me just like I have to breathe. Like I really have to breathe because I don't like it. I used to be that person who would dive into all of these political things and all of these wartime things and all of these, because I'm a patriot. I know who I am. I know I wear my uniform. I know I wear the armor. I know I wear the seal. But I have to learn to balance with that. Just because I have it doesn't mean that I have to be angry and resentful. Doesn't mean that I have to be a turd in armor. Doesn't mean that. And for all those people who want to say, you're wrong and strong doesn't work. When you are that wrong and strong, it doesn't work, especially when they're proving the evidence of the truth. And you can't handle the evidence. I feel like a few good men. You can't handle the truth. You are in such a loathe of hatred and such a loathe of despair and disgust that even the truth won't even set you free. That is some deep healings. And I call that beyond the events. So these are what's problematic with PTSD vets as well. When PTSD vets cannot get over, or they're putting them on meds and they're still having PTSD and they're changing their meds and they're putting on more meds and then they're putting on more meds. And all these pills are putting you on and you're still not being healed. That's when I had beautiful psychologists in Miami who would reach out going, I can't seem to break it. Can you tell me if there's something else contributing? And the answers are always yes. Just because you had a traumatic event does not mean that there was not a pattern for this traumatic event. That does not mean that there was something prior to this event. There is not saying that there's not an inner child trauma that is compounding this event. It is not saying that the conscious mind of awareness of being conditioned by man through ego is not a compounding factor of this event. Does that make sense? People in today's world will take money to go fight or fight to riot. They'll take money to go throw something. You see it all the time, people proclaiming it, how much money they were given to throw the bricks or the Molotovs or break the windows or cause riots or cause disruption. They're being paid. It needs to stop. It really does. And the irony of calling Trump a king, on my last note, that is the most ignorant, the most disgusting thing I've ever heard come from that side of the field. You obviously forgot history, and you obviously know, go back to school about history. It's not a play on words. It's rhetoric. It's rude, and it's not called for. You are bringing the nation down. You can silently protest, but why? Why? Are you getting the wrong facts? Think about it. Why don't you go into all of the Congress courts? Look them up for yourself. Oh, you forgot history with Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. That's when we became a nation. 1776. People will always proclaim too, but we're all immigrants. There isn't any part of any land ever, unless somebody knows something different than I do, that we were born into. You can be born in that land. Now, your family, they had to migrate. They had to. Why? For starvation, to live, survival. Come on. These are all reasons why nomads were nomads. So to tell me that the Indians are the only people native on this ground, that's a lie. Again, they're not native here. They might have been born here, but they were wanderers. They moved here. Read it. So I have to say that these people, this is false. The things that you learned, the things I learned, let me just put it that way. The things I learned in high school, they're turning them. They're twisting them. The things that we thought about history, they're not true. They were guesses of man. They were judgment of man. Do you understand man causes this anger and this resentment? Man's attitude. Think about how you were brought up. What conditioned mechanisms did you hold? And your family conditioned your mind, your peers, your social peers, your nannies, your childcare, your teachers. They all controlled you. Hell, I couldn't read by second grade. I still couldn't read because my teacher only picked on the students who could read at second grade level. If you didn't know how to read and you stumbled over words or you didn't know what a word was, she would never pick on you. And I failed. I had to get tutored until I was in fifth grade. Thank God for my Aunt Gloria, who took me and taught me. Think about that. Somebody else's version of teaching. If everybody had to go through that pressure, and they do, these poor children today, they're getting lost in the systems. We're overpopulated. We have no more room in the school systems for these poor teachers. But teaching balance and teaching humanity, not teaching empathy. You're teaching sincerity and you're teaching love. Nobody wants to have empathy because that saddens the heart. It breaks us down. It's clairsentient. You're sensing it, but you have to heal it. I hope that makes sense to everybody. This was a show that I really didn't want to divide our country. I wanted to heal our country. There's so much division now that it's a subject you can't even write on somebody's Facebook. Then you know what they're posting is an absolute, just total lie. And you get ridiculed. And then everybody is a political science major and everybody has their opinions. But when you're trying to give them a fact quote and you're just linking the fact quote, you get beat up. You don't even have to say anything. Try it. You could just link a fact that has been proven and they disagree with the proven fact. Oh, it was coerced. It was embedded. Right, like the Russian dossiers. Get it? Fact to opinion to flat out anarchy. Sucks. Sucks. So think about that and think about how you treat others. Think about what your words are saying. Maybe if you start being kind, it'll start a domino effect in your realm. I've already started here because I walk away. I just walk away. They're like, MJ, no. You see that energy? You're going to strip my energy, my good, positive energy. You're going to strip it, and I don't need to be part of that. Anything that you do, your job, your work, podcasting, right? YouTube took my show off last week. There's my end thought. I was pissed. How dare you? Who gave you the right to do that? They say I promote violence. Somebody told YouTube that I promote violence. Had nothing to do with me. I don't promote violence. They were talking about, because their mind of the introduction, if you notice, the introduction is different. God love Joel last minute. I said, Joel, that's my third mark that somebody is pulling and advising of this. And it's sick. It's sick. So their reasoning was that I was doing, I go there, I don't even have guns on my show. And I realized it was the introduction. My introduction of the show with MBR. That's what it was about. Not my actual show. So over the midnight hours, if Joel didn't have enough on his plate with this weekend, with his his outs, what he was doing outside of the studio, he had to make this quick introduction just to come on to the show today. Because somebody out there decided that my show, The World of Conscious Positive Thinking, was about guns. And they literally pulled my last week's show off of YouTube. That's sad. Very sad. That somebody is that ugly. Had nothing to do with my show. It has to do with the branding of MBR. And there's nothing wrong with it. It was somebody's delusion of exception that about the military. Well, the military is the military, and that introduction that they do here on MBR it is fact. This is what happens. And you don't like it? I'm sorry for you. But that is the service. Life purpose, soul purpose. With whatever it is that you do. Are you educated enough to understand that? Yeah. It's sad. It's like the review centers. The review centers are the same way. The businesses really wanted reviews so that they could either make minor corrections within their things, but have happy customers. That's what it started to be. Can you please help me to strive to be the best that I can be? And then it has turned into a full out, I'm right, they're wrong war. And so then I started laughing at these ugly reviews because it's one-sided. I don't even look at those reviews anymore. Or if I do, I laugh and I make a comment and I'll put, it's sad that you couldn't work that out, that you wanted to put your dirty laundry out on the line to show everybody your shit stains. That's where I'm at. It's a beautiful world when you walk outside in the forest and you walk to the beaches or you walk on beautiful parks. It's a beautiful world. Get away from the TVs, get away from the phones, get away from the computers. I urge you, please. It's not important. It's only important when they trap you to listen and then they trap you to make things because now you're mine, because they're playing with your ego. They're playing with your judgment. They're playing with your minds. They are literally coming in and brainwashing you out of that. That's not a good thing. Do yourself a favor. Flip that pattern. Instead of sitting down and watching a whirlwind of just disgust and riots and beatings to make you angry. That's what it does. It creates your energy to be on that side. That's how you form the army, right? Somebody pisses you off. You go and you tell your friend, can you believe that person did that to me? And now you go to another person. Now all of a sudden you told 5 friends, and these 5 friends are now going to be your bodyguard. And they weren't even there. They weren't even there. They don't even know the event. and you're pulling them into something that is not theirs. Well, that's what friends are for. Bullshit. Friends are there to support you, honor you, and love you, and give you care when you need it. Don't pull them into your dirty freaking nightmares and your dirty mess. That's not for them, and it never will be. So think about that the next time you want to talk crap about somebody you're having a dispute with. More or less saying, I need an angle because I can't perceive the angle. I don't want, and I did that myself. I chose people in my life going, if you're going to have an ego or a judgment, our conversations are over. They're over. I don't want your ego and I don't want your judgment. I want a version of how I can ride this wave on a radio that's going to take me to the end game where everybody's happy. And if you can't give me that, then step aside. That's how I live my life. I'm sorry for all of those who lived in those cities or those areas that had such turmoil. Sorry for my part, however I played that, however it played out. And imagine if all of us could do the same. It'd just be one great life. What a beautiful, beautiful life. If you just open up your eyes for the awareness, and if you could open up your eyes and see that joy and see that beauty and see the calming within that chaos. But when you contribute to it, they got you. They got you hook, line, and sinker. It's like ripping lips on tight lines. They got you. All they had to do is set the bail. Remember that. Next time you want to get engaged in the prosperity of today, don't be the fish. Don't get hooked on that line and stay far from it. Remove yourself and think of happy thoughts or go another way. As a patriot, honor man's choice and man's rights and protection. But you don't have to be subjugated into the picket lines or the revocations of those picket lines. Doesn't go well for anybody. Anyway, you are listening to one of the most beautiful stations with diversity, with excitement, clarity for rehabilitation and revocation. It's mbradio.us. Been around for 20 years. I am privileged and proud to be on it. My name is MJ, and I am on the world of conscious positivity. YouTube, you can shut me down, but I'll still speak. You all have yourself a beautiful day, and you all have yourself a balanced, harmonious wave that you ride upon so that you don't have to be caught up in that atmosphere of those pressures. See you next week. I have Gemma Lopez. You'll love to hear hers. She's an oncology doctor of physical therapy, and I'm so proud to have her on. So, signing off. See you tonight with my friends Terry and H on the beautiful Beyond the Headlines. And of course, I think on Thursday morning, H Train and myself will be on again. I think that one's at 9 o'clock Eastern as well. So, see you soon. Be well. Many loves, and enjoy the energies of these beautiful skies of ours. See ya, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.